Good evening. How are we doing? Welcome, welcome. We are going to be doing some stretch today, guys. Lovely Wednesday evening stretch class. I'm just going to wait for a couple more to join on. Hello, good evening. And then once there's a few of us in here, hi Melanie. Then we'll get started. Hey Joe. We're going to do a nice full body stretch class today. We will get started in just a moment. We're not going to need any extra equipment. Just yourself, just your mat, a little bit of all over. Oh, hi Joe. And if you do have any injuries, please do make sure you follow the advice of your medical professionals as always. Stretch is not appropriate for a prenatal, guys, but we will have a prenatal class on the live stream this evening at 6 o'clock that you could join if you wanted to. All right, guys, there's a few of us on now. Let's get moving. Bring yourself to your mat. Now, for anyone who hasn't met me, my name's Leah, and I'm one of the senior trainers here at 10 Health and Fitness, and we're going to be doing some stretch today. Now, if you can start just by raising the arms up above the head and circling them back round behind you. Now, as you do this, I want you to pull out through your fingertips until you can feel a stretch across your chest muscles. And I'm standing side on at the moment because what I want you to see is that I'm moving from my shoulders, not my back, moving in and out. So the back is staying nice and neutral, and I'm really trying to draw the biggest circles that I can with the fingertips. So that as those arms go out and back behind you, you're going to get a nice stretch through the front here into those pectoral muscles. Hi, Melanie. Oh, maybe I've got that wrong. Let's have a quick check, shall we? We're definitely going to start with a little stretch. You're right, Melanie. You are right. But let's keep going with our arm circles and then we'll get onto that mat. So opening out all the way through. Now on this next one, we're going to bring the arms all the way around, down to the knees, and let the head hang heavy towards the floor. Now from there, we're going to start to do a little standing cat stretch. Now you'll notice that I've bent my knees so that they're really soft, and I'm going to start to curve into a C shape. Head heavy, middle of the spine, pulling up towards the ceiling, and then I'm going to gently extend, raising the eye line and sending that tailbone up high. And we're going to do 3 more of those. Make sure you're not crunching up your toes. Keep your toes spread out and relaxed. 1 more. And then this time, after that last little extension, we're going to send our hands down to the floor and then down onto the knees, all the way into that position. And we're going to start to take some shell stretches. Now we're going to send the bum down towards the heels, into that shell, and then gently raise back to a flexed cat position. So I'm moving from my cat to my shell. Now you're going to breathe in when you get there, and you're going to breathe out to move. Inhale at end range, exhale to move. Keep going with those, guys. I want to check the comments. Are we all okay? Lovely. Good, a little bit more mobility, and then we're going to start to introduce some abdominal work. So in this next shell, I want you to stay there, let the arms walk away, maybe take the knees slightly wider if that's more comfortable for you, let the head hang heavy, and let the hips sink towards the heels, just breathing into the back of the rib cage. 3 more breaths. And then we're going to come forwards into our 4-point position. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. So make sure we've got that vertical arm, vertical thigh. Now as you inhale, I want you to release your tummy muscles without releasing your spine down. So your ribs stay knitted, your pelvis stays neutral, and your spine stays in that long, flat back position. Inhale, release the tummy. Exhale, lift it up. So what you're doing is you're just finding that abdominal contraction while stabilizing the spine. Now as you breathe out and lift the tummy, I want you to lift the pelvic floor up to meet that belly button. Inhale, release. Exhale, pelvic floor drawing up to meet the belly button. Push the mat into the floor, make sure you're engaged through the chest. Now the next time you lift up your belly button to the spine, you're going to reach your arm out in front of you. Inhale, bring it down. Exhale, pelvic floor and belly button as you lift the arm. This is stage 1 of your exercise. Make sure that you're not locking out the elbows or sinking the shoulders. This remains an abdominal exercise, so the most important thing as you're moving that arm is that your belly button is lifting up and your abdominals are hugging your spine. Next level of this exercise, as the arm goes out, outside leg reaches away. We inhale, come in. We exhale, extend. Pelvic floor and belly button. Make sure for me, there's no movement through the ribs. So we've knitted the front of the rib cage together there. That rib cage placement staying really stable. Equally, if you're going for those leg extensions, we don't want the hips to be moving from side to side. Keep them right in the middle so the supporting hip is on top of its knee and the pelvis is level on the top. So as if you've got your champagne flute balanced on the top there. We're going to keep that going. I'm going to add one more level if you would like it. Extending to hold. Scoop the abdominals. Fingertips and toes reaching out to the side. Back to where they started to come in. So requiring a little bit more mobility, but also that extra hip and shoulder stability to support us as we move around. Still making sure the primary function of this exercise is our abdominal engagement. Keeping that belly button hugging close to the spine as you take that movement. Now we don't want the leg any higher than the hip. If you start to take the leg higher, what's going to happen is this. Look at my back. So firstly, the back's gone into extension, it's not in neutral anymore, and this hip is lifted up. So I want the hips to be level, and I want the back to be neutral. Good, we're going to keep this going, guys, for about 30 seconds. Just work at the level that is right for you. Might be just the arm, might be the arm and the leg, or it might be the arm and the leg circling around to the sides, all the way back and into position. The whole time, engaging those abdominals, hugging the spine. Remember, with every out breath, draw that pelvic floor up to meet that belly button. I've got 20 seconds left, guys. Just keep it at your own pace, keep it controlled. Make sure you're thinking about your neck as well. So we don't want the head drop down. Equally, we don't want to be crunching those vertebrae together, so we're keeping leg through the back of the neck, extending out through the crown of the head and out through the tailbone, so we've got that two-way lengthening. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Breathe in. Have a moment to send the bum onto the heels. Breathe into that shell stretch. And then once you're ready, we're going to come all the way down into prone, lying on our tummies. And we're going to do some shoulder retraction work. So I'd like you to take your arms out in a wide V shape, and our tip of our nose is just going to hover a millimetre off of the mat. Now I want you to lift your tummy up and squeeze your bum. So we're keeping our tail slightly tucked. Now you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together. As the shoulder blades squeeze together, you're going to reach those fingertips out in your V. Inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades tight. Inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lower. Keep that going. Level 2. As you squeeze your shoulder blades together, we're going to start to extend the thoracic spine, the upper back. So from about where your bra strap would sit if you're a lady, reaching out through those fingertips, still long through the back of the neck. We're not lifting from the chin. And then slowly down. That movement is always led by those shoulder blades, squeezing together, sliding down the tailbone, and inhale, return. Keep that movement going for me, guys. Now we want to make sure we're not forcing our lower back together. So this movement isn't coming from here. It's coming from the shoulder blades, opening the chest, so we're working on that posture, and opening the upper back, but not sitting into our lumbar. So we need to make sure that we're holding the core. Belly button's pulled up to the spine as if you've got a little grape under there that you don't want to squash. Tail is slightly tucked so those glutes are engaged, stabilizing the pelvis. Lovely. One more progression if you would like it. When you lift up this time, hold it there. We're going to reach the arms forwards. Keep that core held. Reach all the way back as if you're trying to touch the ankles with the fingertips. And then down. And repeat. We've got to keep that crepe under our belly button. Don't squash it. Remember, this movement is led by the shoulder blades. Open up the chest. Smiling collarbone. Really good one for those that have been spending a lot of time in hunched over postures. So if you've been at your desk, rounded over, on your phone, on the tube, sitting on the sofa watching Netflix, whatever it is, if you're in this rounded position, what can happen is that these muscles get really short, and then we get that strain through the upper back, over-lengthening, stretch weakness through here, which can cause those aches and pains, and make us more prone to injury as well around that shoulder upper body area. This is a really good one just to combat that. We're now stretching the chest, contracting, strengthening those muscles in the upper back. This is going to be the last one, guys. If you can, lift it up and hold, and we're going to go for 3 of these reaches, reaching forwards, reaching back, squeeze those shoulder blades. 2 more if you can. Come down if you need to. Remember to breathe. Eye line on the mat. And then slowly back to where we started. Bring the hands into the chest. Come back to that 4-point just for a moment. Curve up into your cat stretch. And just breathe into the back of the lungs here. Inflating and deflating the rib cage. And then once you're ready, we're going to start to walk the hands away. Now this time, instead of coming onto our front, we're going to come onto our side. I'm going to give you 2 options at the beginning. So progressed and regressed option. You can have the arm underneath you, nice and supported, lying down on the mat here. Or you can bring the elbow under the shoulder, press up away from the mat, squeeze under the armpit, engage through the obliques. So you're in a half side plank position as we do this. Now, whichever one you do, we're going to bring our knees up in front of our hips, shins parallel, and we're going to press the top leg out away at top hip height. Now, I want you to imagine someone's holding your ankle and pulling your leg. So you're creating that space in the hip socket, and you're creating this space underneath the waist, squeezing those muscles under the armpit, supporting the shoulder. We're going to reach the top arm out in front of us. From here, you're going to flex your foot. They're still pulling you by your ankle. We're going to come forwards about 45 degrees. We're going to press out through the heel, back in line with the body. We're taking our side kick. Inhale forwards, exhale back. Just like when we were in our 4-point, leg stays at top hip height, and the hips need to be level. So in this position, that means that the top hip is stacked on top of the bottom hip, so that we're not rolling backwards. I don't want this hip bone pointed to the sky. I want it pointed directly forwards to you. Inhale forwards, exhale, press it back. Good. Now we don't want to start to sink into our shoulders, so we don't want our ear down by the shoulder. We want to think of pushing the mat actively down into the floor as you do this. So we're really engaged all through this underneath side. Now you should be starting to feel that burn now into these muscles around the side of the hip here. So they're the smaller glute muscles that often get a little bit forgotten about. There are glute med muscles primarily working here, and they help us to stabilize the hips. So not only that, that then turns to supporting the lower back, helping with the alignment of the knees. So really useful little muscles keeping us from injury. We're going to do about another 30 seconds here. Now remember, you've got the option to come down onto the arm if that's better for you. Just work with what is right for you today. We do want to try and keep that height. Don't let it start to move up and down in an arc shape. That straight line forwards and backwards, guys. We inhale forwards, we exhale back. As you exhale, come back. We don't want to be arching. We don't want our spine moving around. That stays neutral. So we need our abdominals. So as you exhale, push back, pelvic floor lifting up to meet that belly button that's drawing back into the spine. So all of those deep core muscles working to hug that spine and keep it stabilized. Good, you've got about 10 seconds left, and then we'll go for a pulse. I'm just going to check the comments. Are we all okay? Good, guys, do let me know if you need any help with anything. Next one you do, we're going to press back and hold it. Hold it there, push out through that heel. Scoop up the tummy, lift up through the waist. Reach those fingertips. Really push through the heel, we're going to lift up and down, tiny movement. Now that movement is my thigh bone in my hip socket, so there's no movement of the hip socket itself. Good, halfway there. Keep that pulse going for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend it in, pop it down, half a second, give it a little pat. We'll give that hip a stretch. So if you sit yourself up to face the legs, top leg is going to go on top. So that's the one you just worked that was on top, the one that hurts. Ankle on thigh in a figure 4 position. So that's your upside down figure 4 there. Straight back. We're not slumping in this one. Up nice and tall, chest out. If that's enough of a stretch, well, you do stay there. If you'd like a bit more, put your hands behind you, bend that bottom knee, and then press the body forwards again. So you're opening out the chest. This is one of those occasions where we can have a little arch in the back. Think of sticking the bum out, sticking the chest out, so it just gives us that little anterior pelvic tilt that just increases that stretch slightly. And if you'd like to, we're going to now start to add a little bit of a rock. So rolling the foot over and back to center. And repeat. Two more. And then after this last one, we're going to pop the foot down and we're going to take the arms out in front. Nice deep breath in, grow tall. Now as you breathe out, we're going to start to curl the tailbone under. So I'm coming into a half roll back. I'm rocking back towards the coccyx and then onto the tailbone. At the same time, lift the pelvic floor up, scoop the tummy in. So we don't want any tummy muscles sticking out. Think of drawing that belly button to the spine as if someone scooped ice cream out of your tummy. Feet have to stay on the floor. When you get to that bite point, hold it there, take a breath in. Breathe out, rolling up, making sure you never leave your upper body behind. So keep your ribs tucked in. Reach through the fingertips. We're going to inhale, grow tall at the top. Exhale, roll back. Pelvic floor and belly button. Shoulders relaxed. We've got a nice wide collarbone. We are looking for that shaky point where those abdominal muscles are a little bit trembly, but we want to make sure that we stay in control. So we've never got the back in an arched position. We're not hinging back. We're going through a curved C shape. And that is level 1 of the exercise. If you would like a little bit harder, when you get to the bottom, draw the belly button in, stabilize the pelvis, so no movement in the pelvis. One leg lifting to extend, we come down. Repeat second side, we come down and we roll up. Inhale, grow. Exhale, roll down. If that's a bit much, guys, keep both feet on the floor. I'm going to add in a slightly more advanced progression in case anyone needs it. So for this one, come onto the tips of your toes, a little bit closer to your bum, curving under, scooping those abs, both legs together, we extend. Inhale, bend. Exhale, come up. Inhale, grow. Exhale, down. Inhale, extend. Exhale, up. Good. Guys, keep that going for yourself. So you might want both feet on the floor. You might be challenging yourself with one leg, then the other, stabilizing that pelvis. If you can go for that full teaser on the end, then please do. Nice and slow, using the breath. With this one, don't be tempted to start to breathe up into the chest. We don't want that tension through the upper body. We want to get that oxygen to those muscles. Inhale to the bottom of the lungs. Feel the rib cage inflate, and then as you exhale, deflate completely. Allow those abdominal muscles to hug the spine. Draw that pelvic floor up to meet the belly button. We're going to do a few more here, guys. We're going to keep this going for about another 30 seconds, and then we'll take a hold on the end. Good. Okay, so make sure as you come up, ribs stay knitted. Sometimes we get this as we come up. We don't want to create that position. I want you to come up through your C shape, lead with the fingertips, ribs in. So we're protecting the back as we come up. Think of keeping the ribs close to the hips. Still looking for our scooped out tummy muscles. Got 15 seconds left, and then we're going to go for our hold. If you need a little reset, have it now. 2 more, and then we're going into that hold. So choose a position that you feel you can control, but that's going to challenge you. Finish the one you're on now. Coming up to the top, take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, pelvic floor and belly button. Choose your position, maybe 1, maybe 2 legs. Scoop the abs, check with the shoulders, we don't want them up here. To those back pockets and breathe for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knees in with control. Roll it up. Let's all take a little butterfly stretch. So soles of the feet together, knees wide, reaching tall and reaching over. I want you to keep reaching through the fingertips as far as you can. And then when you've gone as far as you can, start to curve the body over. Let the elbows soften, let the head hang heavy, give the head a little shake. Make sure it's released, breathing into the back. Two more breaths here, feel that rib cage expansion. And then slowly we're going to reach forwards and reverse that movement. Reaching, and then slowly restacking on top. Release the hands, give the shoulders a little roll out. We're going to bring the legs around, coming into our glute work on that second side. So you've got your option to take your bottom arm all the way out along the mat, rest the head onto it for that bit of support. If you're a little bit more intermediate or advanced, you're going to bring that elbow underneath the shoulder, press down into the mat, engage through the obliques, engage under the back of that armpit. Knees start in the same position, whichever one you're in front of hips, hips stacked and abdominals scooped. Find your rib to hip connection now. We're going to lift that leg to top hip height, press away long. Find that length as if someone's pulling you by the ankle. Create that space in the hip. You're going to draw the toes towards you. Really push energy out through that heel and reaching out through the fingertips as well. Inhale, coming forwards. Exhale, coming back and pushing through that heel. Find that pull through the ankle. Inhale, forwards. Exhale, back. So if you're in that position, it's exactly the same. Inhale, forwards. Exhale, back. If you're in this lying down position, we still want to be engaged through our obliques. So if you think of that grate from earlier when we were in prone, we've got that imaginary grate under the bottom of the waist here, and we don't want to squash it. So we want to stay engaged through those waist muscles. Inhale forwards, and as you exhale, press back, pelvic floor, belly button, ribs knitted. So we maintain our rib to hip connection. So what that means is that we're not taking the leg too far, because if we do, if that leg starts to go further back behind, watch what happens to my back. It's now going into extension. I've lost my hip placement, I've lost my rib placement. So I'm going to keep it in a neutral spine. My leg's going to stop here. Inhale forwards, exhale back, using the abdominals to support the spine as I press the leg back. And you should be feeling this mostly through the side of the bum, into this area here, into our little glute med muscles. As that leg presses back, feeling that into the glute max and down into the hamstrings as well as we push out through that heel. You've got 20 seconds left, and then we're going to go into that little pulse on the end. Are you all okay? Lovely, guys. Almost there. That should be burning now. If you do need a quick reset, take it now, but push through if you can. Just 10 seconds, and then we're on to that pulse. Really reaching through that ankle, create that space. Keep pressing that mat away. Squeeze under the back of that armpit. Engaged all underneath that side. Finish the one you're on and hold it here. Push out through that heel. Check in with those abs. Little pulse up and down. Keep the toes forwards, not up to the sky. Nice long leg pressing through the heel. Keep going. You're almost there. Remember to breathe for me. Another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Breathe in. Give it a little pat. Have a second. We're going to extend the legs and come to seated for a figure 4 stretch. So it's the leg that was just on top, the one that hurts. Ankle goes on the thigh and the knee is out to the side. We're going to straighten up the back, present the chest. If that is enough of a stretch for you, please stay there. Or you can pop the hands behind and start to bend that bottom knee. Still opening out that chest and pressing the body forward. So we don't want to be sitting back here. Opening out. So we are sticking the bum out, sticking the chest out in this position. If you'd like to, we can add in that little rock. So rolling the foot down towards the floor. And slowly back up. Comfortable range for you. Keeping the knee pressed wide from the body. And back here. 2 more here. And then when you finish this last one, we're going to come back to the center, place both feet down, and we're going to come into a supine position, so lying on our back. Now from here, we're going to start just with some leg drops. So if you can pop your hands by the sides, palms to the floor for the moment. Not too close though, we don't want the shoulders tensed up. Let those shoulder blades fall into the mat. I'm going to bring the legs one at a time to my tabletop position, and then I'm going to imprint the pelvis. So we're curling the tailbone under, sending the lower back into the floor. And I want us to keep imprint throughout. So that means the lower back is always imprinted on the mat. Hip bones are always dropped lower than the pubic bone. We're going to start with a bent knee leg drop. We'll start single leg. Exhale, lowering from the hip, the angle at the knee never changes. Pelvic floor's lifting, belly button's drawing in. There's no change in the pelvis or the spine position. Inhale back up. So you're just thinking of the thigh bone moving within its hip socket. No movement in the hips themselves. Remember, pubic bone higher than hip bones. Lower back imprinted on the floor. So that might mean that you don't get all the way to the floor with your toes. That's okay. It's more important to maintain your imprint. Still thinking of that flattening, that hugging of the tummy muscles to the spine, rather than bulging those abs out in the center. Next progression, both legs. Good. If you're feeling nice and stable, you can take the arms to shoulder drop. Use your breath, so as you breathe out, pelvic floor lifts, belly button pulls in, we keep those ribs knitted. We're maintaining our imprint. You might find that you don't go quite as far with double leg. It's absolutely fine. Focus on stabilizing. I'm going to give you another layer of progression to try if you're quite comfortable with this one. You're going to extend one leg, and we're going to take a hold of that leg. Now you might find it better to hold the thigh, or you might find it better to hold the calf. What I don't want is your bum lifted up off of the mat. So find a place where you can hold comfortably. Now we're going to extend the bottom leg, and we're going to lift it up. I'm going to lift it up hip distance apart, and then back down. I'm going to do that 3 times before we swap. So it's a variation of your scissor. We're still maintaining our imprint as we lower the leg, pelvic floor and belly button. Getting an added little hamstring stretch to make sure the shoulders aren't lifting up. Shoulder blades drawing to back pockets. After your third one, you're going to swap it over. And we're going to do the same thing here. Now I'm going to give you one more layer of progression here. You can take or not, see how you're feeling. On this next one, when you come up to the top and swap, we're going to add in an ab prep or a curl up. So when I change over, I'm going to curl up, sliding the ribs to the hips, still looking for that flattening of the abdominals, still keeping the shoulder blades towards their back pockets, trying to keep the hips as level as possible. Changing after 3. If you need to stop the leg a little higher, that's okay. Guys, if this is a bit much for you, please do stick with whichever variation is right for you today. You can come back to these single leg drops. Make sure that you're working hard, but that you're keeping your spine supported. We should be feeling the tummy muscles, beneficial in this one, and nice hamstring stretch there as well. Got about 30 seconds left. Try to keep the legs parallel so that there's no turnout. Make sure as well that you've still got your small apple from the chin to the chest, Those ribs are pulling down to the hips. We're not putting pressure through the chin and neck here. This is going to be your last one. And then we're going to take a little hold if we can. So whichever one you're on now, I want you to come back to your tabletop when you finish that one that you're in. If you can, add in an ab prep or a curler, reaching away through the fingertips. Maybe a single leg, maybe a double, or maybe staying tabletop. We're going to breathe there, hold it there for 10, 9, draw those ribs down, 7, 6, almost there, scoop those abs for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hug those knees in tight. Coming back down to your mat, just gently turning the head from one side to the other, loosening off through the neck. And then coming back to center, just place the feet down together, so ankles and knees glued, palms up to the ceiling, and just have a little rock from one side to the other. So I'm keeping both shoulders on the mat and just giving the lower back a little stretch out, a little bit of lumbar rotation. Just that little reset. One more each way, guys. And then when you finish your last one, come back to center. You're going to roll to face me and slowly bring yourself to sitting. Cross the legs, give the shoulders a little roll out. And we're just going to drop the head to one side, shoulder blades in back pockets. Heavy head, rolling in a semicircle. And then back the other way. Just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Give the shoulders a little roll and give yourselves a clap. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your mat Pilates session. A little bit of stretch thrown in there. Do shout at me if you have any questions or anything I can help you with. Otherwise, I will be uploading this to the IGTV. So if you missed any or if you want to go back and do it again, I will pop it on there for you and I'll pop my handle on as well. You can also find me on live stream this evening, guys, from 5 o'clock if anyone wanted a little bit more. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks, Melanie.